All right, so I'm here to talk to you today about having your own state vehicle, and something that we've had a lot of fun with, and something that I want to hopefully inspire you to get for yourself. And there's a variety of ways that you can have that. But I do want to tell you, I have been pulled over more times than I can imagine. I have been detained, handcuffed, and thrown in the back of a police vehicle in Riverside, California. And it's not because of speeding or a broken tail light or some traffic violation. It's mainly because people are saying, or law enforcement is saying, that I am impersonating a Border Patrol agent. Now, this is my Border Patrol agent professional suit. I'm sure you've seen the tactical version, so that seems to kind of get law enforcement a little bit on the edge, and that's okay. But what I want to do is tell you that, for those of you that don't know, I am the Chief Border Patrol agent of our country called Slowjamistan. My job in Slowjamistan is obviously to protect our borders and our number one law. And I'm sure you guys know, but if you don't, just out of curiosity, what is our number one law in Slowjamistan? I love this crowd. Fantastic. You guys are great. So that's my job. I have to protect against croc violators, and we have 11 acres of land. A lot of it is rough terrain. And sure, I can go out there and I can, patrol by foot. I can run. I can use a bicycle or tricycle or pogo stick. I'm sure that people would love to just see that. But I need something that's a little bit more efficient. Something that's just a little bit more flashy. I think something that's just a little bit more memorable. So what I want to do is I want to introduce you, and if it works here, the Border Patrol right here. Slowjamistan's first line of defense. This is also my vehicle. This is the truck that I use to patrol the entire land of Slowjamistan. So here's a question that I get all the time. What is happening, and is that thing legal? Have you not been arrested, towed, fined, and pounded? So the question I'm going to ask you, how many of you here think this is illegal? Raise your hand if you think it's illegal. One person, two people. Few people think it's illegal. Well, my friends, I thought the same thing until the Sultan called me up one day, and that's the Sultan right here. Sultan calls me up one day and he says, hey, I want to get a fleet of vehicles, but what if we start with a Border Patrol truck? Well, I got really excited. I said, heck yeah, let's get a Border Patrol truck. So we start talking about it. We start looking for one, and we can't find one. So a couple of weeks go by, and he goes, all right, dude, check it out, man. I got an idea. He goes, hear me out. Just listen to me before you say a word. Whenever he starts off that way, I know I'm either going to be in a lot of trouble or it's going to be a big adventure. I'm like, all right, dude, let's do it. What are we talking about here? All right, listen to me. Here's the deal. What do you think if we turned your truck into a Border Patrol truck? I'm going to be honest with you. My first knee-jerk reaction, dude, hell no, man. Nope, not gonna do it, hell no. Dude, are you crazy? I'm like, you want me out there in a Border Patrol truck impersonating the Border Patrol, get my car impounded, arrested, and fined? And he goes, dude, you don't understand. It's not illegal. So long story short, he talks me into it, and I find out it's not illegal. Here's the deal. You can have all of those colors on a vehicle as long as it doesn't say Border Patrol, or I'm not using the Border Patrol logo. How many of you caught on to what it says on the truck? So if you don't live around an area like I do where there's a lot of Border Patrol agents, you're not going to catch on. You're going to think it's a Border Patrol truck. If you don't live in an area, most people usually get it. They're like, okay, it says Border Patrol. So now, this is an elaborate way to get your own vehicle, okay? Now, we're elaborate people. I think you guys already know that by now. So we kind of go out of our way for things. So if you wanted to go elaborate, if you wanted to do something just like this and get your own vehicle just like that, there's a couple of ways, okay? And I'm going to give you different ways. First of all, if you did this, there's two ways you can do this. One, you can do what they call a wrap or a color changing wrap. There's a big difference. If you do a wrap, okay, you've probably seen them on like plumbers' trucks, insurance companies. I'm sure you've seen them around your town. If you do a wrap, here's what happens. They create a big graphic, okay, and they throw that graphic on your vehicle. Okay, looks great, looks amazing, it's expensive. But let's say that down the road, I don't know, a few weeks down the road, something changes in your company, your country, or something changes. You want to add something, take something off. You're going to have to take the entire wrap off. Everything comes off. You're going to have to make that change, and you're going to end up spending even more money, probably twice as much as you spent the original time, because that's the only way you can make that change. A color wrap, on the other hand, is a little bit different. When you look at the truck, It's made to look like a paint job. So when you see my truck in person and you see it like in real life, it looks like a paint job and it feels just like a paint job and it shines like one. It's really, really amazing. So the entire white part of the vehicle, that's the color changing ramp right there. All the other pieces that you see, which is Slowjama stand, the logo, the Border Patrol, all that stuff is after the fact and you can change it whenever you want. And I had to make a change. I got a dog. So I wanted to add the canine unit. So I added a canine unit and I added my website, and instead of thousands of dollars, it only cost me $80. So if you want to do something like that, a color changing ramp is what I suggest. I want to show you what my truck used to look like. That's what it was. And you're going to see more pictures of it. That's what my truck looked like before. That's what a color changing ramp can do, and it's probably the best way to go. But again, this is elaborate and it's still a little bit pricey. This is our fleet of vehicles, if you're not familiar with them. We have, obviously, the Border Patrol. We have the fire truck with Rescue Rick, who's right there. And we have a police car with Assaulted, who doubles as the police enforcer. Let's talk about the police car. Look at that beautiful car right there. Okay, first of all, yes, it's real. It's not made up. It is totally a real police car right there. So I'm going to ask you the same question. How many of you think driving this vehicle anywhere is illegal? That's it? You guys are in trouble, let me tell you right now. It is illegal. It is completely illegal. You cannot be driving one of these cars around. It doesn't work. You can't do it. Unless, a big unless, the state you live in is legal. We live in Arizona. This car is registered in Arizona, Arizona license, and Arizona insurance. In Arizona, you can drive that car, and you can drive it anywhere in the United States as long as you follow the laws, and those states have to respect other state laws. So if our law is, yes, it's legal, every other state has to respect that. Now, if you live in California, or a state like California, 100% illegal, okay? If it's registered in California, you get driver's license and insurance in California, that is illegal. You cannot have that. You will be detained, you will go to jail, you will be fined. California invented the code on the color combination of this vehicle. That means that any vehicle in California that has this color combination is illegal. Doesn't matter if it's a Beetle, if it's your mom's minivan, if it's a monster truck, it doesn't matter what it is. This color combination right here cannot be used. The other thing that's illegal, including for the Border Patrol truck, you cannot have the red and blues. No vehicle can have the red and blues in any state. It is completely illegal. So if you want to go and get yourself a police car, my disclaimer, because I'm not suggesting, just an idea, find a state where it's legal. Maybe get a residence there, or find a friend, get an address, get an insurance and a driver's license and things like that. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there just as an idea. This is Assaultant right there. Most police vehicles, you call 911. For us, you're gonna call 411. If you're interested in tacos, strippers, and jazzercise. That's the number that you would want to call right there. So if you want to take that number down, please take it now, because it's about to change. All right, where the hose at? This is a Slowjama stand, fire and rescue department led by Rescue Rick. Is it illegal to have a fire truck? Yes. You think yes? Most people say no. You're absolutely right. It is not illegal to have a fire truck. Any one of you here can have your very own fire truck. Here's the bad news. Oh, you can totally drive it. Absolutely you can drive it. You can drive this vehicle anywhere that you want. This is a fully functioning fire truck, complete with a hose and a very powerful hose. Excellent condition. The bad news is, if you want to get yourself a fire truck, you're probably talking anywhere from $80,000 to maybe $150,000, $200,000 for a fire truck, okay? Unless you're smart like Rescue Rick over here, who found this fire truck out the door. Throw some numbers out. What do you think before I give it to you?
$20.
I love this guy. More realistic numbers. What do you think? Throw a number out.
$40.
I love it. I love it. You were the closest. $5,000 out the door, and you can even find them cheaper than that. You just have to look around. In the same fully functional way, you can find yourself a fire truck just like that. Now guys, of course I've been talking about, these vehicles being the elaborate way to go, right? That's the way that you're gonna spend a lot of money. If you really, really wanna go all out and say, I gotta get a badass vehicle for my country, that's gonna be it right there. The cheaper way would be to do this. We got a couple of decals. This is before we had any of the vehicles. Before any vehicle, this is the first one that we had. And I remember the Sultan rolling up in this the very first day, before we had even gone to Slowjamistan. And he's got these two flags, and he's got these two decals, and I'm so confused. And I'm watching roll up to the hotel, and I'm like, dude, what is this? And I thought it was like some kind of government vehicle or security vehicle. I wasn't sure at all, but he had it decked out so well that it really looked legit. And then he threw on the license plate on the very front, Diplomat, Republic of Slowjamistan, and that made it look even better. I also think the color of the car is what happened to make it look really legit. So if you wanted to do that for your country, you can take a car that you maybe have right now and simply do the decals, and you're probably talking $100, $150, I don't know what it is Canadian, but $150 at least American to get something like that and still really look legit. Before we turned my truck into the Border Patrol truck, that's what I was doing. I had the same thing. I had the two flags and I had the two decals, again, less than $200. And there it is again, and I was promoting my trivia stuff in the back as well, so I was doing kind of double duty on this truck until it became the Border Patrol. Another cool way, I don't know if you guys are familiar with our race car, but this is a real race car. Every time this car is at a racetrack, it's promoting Slowjamistan, right? So every time this car races, Slowjamistan is all over it. But it's not our car. It doesn't belong to us. So something else that you can do with your country if you wanted to, and you don't want to do your own vehicle, you can enlist someone else to do it. Maybe someone who's a fan of your country who wants to do something like that. All you have to do is add the decals. It's the same thing. They added the two decals on the side, and then they added the text on the top, and that text, I've done it on my vehicles before, you're looking at $100. So it's really cheap to do it this way. And that's obviously the slow and slurriest vehicle right there. Now, if you do decide that you want to get yourself a vehicle, you're like, you know what, I want to do it, I like the ideas, get into parades. Get into parades. That is the greatest way that you can promote your country to thousands of people in one shot, by simply going into parades. But it gets better. Besides that, it's a great place to make friends with law enforcement. We are friends with every Border Patrol agent in El Centro, one of the biggest agencies in Southern California, and probably even the United States. We are friends with police departments all over the place, sheriff's departments, and fire and rescue departments, all because we get involved in some of these parades, and people love it. It's a great way to promote your country. So my friends, if that's something that you want to do, I put this QR code up here because I have a list of everything that we did, where I got the flashing lights, the light bar, the loudspeaker, the siren that's in my truck, all that stuff that I got. I made a list for you. If you want to scan the QR code and get some information, I made an entire list that you can see where we bought everything, what things are going to cost and things like that. But more importantly, I put my email address on there. So if you have any questions, if you want me to help you out with this, with your vehicle idea, feel free to reach out to me. I am so more than happy to help you guys out with that, okay? My friends, I don't know if you have any questions for me. If you do, please raise your hand. What is your question, my friend?
Where do you even keep all these vehicles?
In my garage. Good question. So I own the Border Patrol truck, obviously, so I keep that in my garage. The Sultan keeps his, and Fire Rescue Rick, he keeps his in the garage in El Centro or somewhere out there. Borrego Springs is where he keeps it. So yeah, it's not all in one garage, although that would be really fun. So, any other questions? Yes, sir.
In spite of the certain circumstances that you mentioned, in which the vehicles are legal, isn't it somewhat dangerous to press your luck in case you come across an overly zealous policeman, perhaps not familiar with the law? Isn't that kind of thing?
Excellent question. Thank you for asking that. It's a very good question. I was going to bring it up. I figured it was, I was just going to keep the talk light. Recently, that's exactly what happened to me with everything that's going on in the U.S. I was in California, and somebody happened to see my truck. They found out where my daughter lives, and they started posting on Instagram and on Facebook, and it got so big that thousands and thousands and thousands of people were commenting. Most of it was positive, but some of it was a little bit negative, to the point that I got to a gas station and I was trying to leave, and this is about 10 o'clock at night, and 2 cars barricaded me. One truck started coming out with a video camera and started talking some nasty things, and I had to get out of that situation. And I literally, even though this is illegal, I turned all my lights on. I do have some of the red and blues. They're not in the light bar, but they're on the truck. I turned everything on, went 90 miles an hour, got on the freeway and took off. So that's the first incident I have ever had. But good question. If you do decide to go this route, it's typically not going to be that. But yeah, at the end of the day, it can be that. If you want to get your own border patrol or police car, obviously nothing's going to happen with a fire truck. So thank you for that question. Very, very good question.